All right, everyone. Got head coach Ben Olsen here. Ben, your thoughts on that result? Point on the road here.
Yeah, just really pleased with it. It's nice to get the first point. And I thought the guys understood the game plan tonight, executed it really well. It wasn't perfect. There was, we still have to work on some of the offensive stuff and still understanding how to take a little pressure off ourselves. But from a defensive standpoint, I mean, as far as winning duels and effort and looking after each other and bailing somebody out, box defending, making the plays that matter. Andrew had a good game. So all these things can add up to road points. And this was a very important moment for us to, again, not put 3 losses in a row and to have an emotional discipline response from the Miami game. So that's what we collectively asked, and that's what the players asked of themselves. And really pleased with the result.
Thanks for that. We'll start with Herman. Herman, go ahead.
Hey, Ben, good afternoon. How big was this point on the road against a strong Columbus team to kind of start building some momentum after, a team that's undergoing construction and a rough patch to start the season?
Well, if you look at the last 2 years, right, it wasn't the offense that ended up putting us into the playoffs. It was how stout we were on the defensive end and making those plays on without the ball. And so that's got to be where we live right now until we, again, as I always say, become more well-oiled and the relationships start to build and we grab a few pieces. We have to live here, and the offensive part will continue to go. But when you look after each other in the way we did tonight, and you outwork the opponent and make look after bail somebody out, you defend the box, all these little things, block shots, that stuff goes a long way, and you can always give yourself a chance. And I thought we didn't do that enough, certainly in the last game, and we talked about an emotional and a physical response to the last 2 games, and we got it tonight. So now we got to go home and put that type of performance defensively again, where we were disciplined and hardworking, a little bit resilient, and then add a little bit more to the offensive end.
And we saw Nico Lodeiro get his first start in a Houston Dynamo jersey. Your assessment of his first 60 minutes tonight or today?
It was a lot to ask of him, and I thought he did well. Nico's a player that wants to be on the ball and is known more for his offensive contributions than some of the work that he's been doing or some of the work that he did tonight. But he understood the task at hand, and I thought he did a very good job on both sides of the ball. He grew into the game offensively, had some good moments, and then defensively he did a lot of work. And I don't know if he's always asked to do that much work, but he understood, again, what the team needed of him today to get something out of this match.
And lastly, any updates on Franco Escobar?
Yeah, he just, him and Eric, we just, preseason's so important to get these guys through. And, both of them had some hiccups in the preseason, so it's hard. It's hard to get them off the mark. And he had a good week of training, no problems. And, we just got to keep pushing him and Eric because we're thin back there. But he'll be okay. It's nothing serious, a little bit of a muscle strain. Hopefully it's not more than a few days, potentially a week.
Thank you, Ben. Safe travels back home.
All right, Joey, go ahead.
Hey, Ben, would you be able to take us through the tactical change of moving Sebastian Gabolchik over to the other flank and bringing Lodeiro into the 11?
Yes, some of his form, and we wanted to look at Ibra off the bench and see if that could, I think Ibra's putting a lot of pressure on himself, and I think he's taking a lot of heat, and I think taking a little off of him right now, and also Nico's earned it, both with his training habits and his leadership ability. So a little bit of a combination of that. We've played Kowalczyk over on that left side. It doesn't give us as much juice as far as threatening behind. It gives us a little bit more soccer, and overall it was okay. Again, I didn't think offensively we were that dangerous, but we also came in here with a game plan that was always going to, we were going to hurt them in transition. And I thought we still had those moments. The Columbus, they give you those moments. We didn't do well enough in those times. So, but overall, it was more form and just to mix it up a little bit.
And longest amount of minutes we've seen for Eric Dueñas in a game so far. How did you evaluate his performance today?
Okay, it's a tough game to come in. High energy. I thought he understood the positioning defensively, offensively. I think everybody on the field could have been better on the night, and that's the challenge. Is when you focus more on the defensive side and being resolute and resilient, and you talk about that all week. And sometimes you're a little bit safe, and that's okay right now. That was okay for today. Played a good team, and again, the point was, in some ways, always going to be okay if we got that in the moment we're in. But so, good minutes from him. I thought both games that he came in the Dallas game and the Miami game, he had good minutes. So another guy that's earned minutes, and today he didn't hurt himself.
Thank you, Ben.
All right, Jesus, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Good performance on the road. Leading up to this game, you talked about Andrew Tarbo and how good of a goalkeeper he is. He showed it today. Can you speak on the performance that he had leading that back line?
I think you're seeing him grow. Every game he's gotten a little bit better, and then that will just continue with a guy like Andrew. And his leadership, we saw his leadership this week, and I have, my feelings for him hasn't changed from in the off season or last year or whenever I've said he's a starting goalkeeper and he's going to be a big plus for us.
Almost 1 week ago, the message after the game was very different to your team. What was the message today after the game? And I'm sure a sense of pride was among that talk.
Yeah, just that this was a good response, but let's not have to respond anymore. This is the foundation. This is kind of this is where we need to live, and now we'll work on the offensive side a little bit more. But this is over the last 2 years, we've been one of the better defensive teams in this league, and that has to be the case again this year if we're going to reach our goals, and that's putting ourselves in the postseason and having a chance at a trophy. So that's the message, is that we can do it, but it takes a commitment. It takes everybody, and overall, really pleased. I told him I was really pleased with the effort.